Is there a strategy that'll help you grow your company faster? CEO Sales Strategies is an investigative business podcast for entrepreneurial people who never stop asking questions. Highly acclaimed sales revenue growth expert Doug C. Brown interviews CEOs, business owners, and professionals who serve them to uncover and share actionable tips and methods behind their bulletproof sales strategies. Topics covered on the show include their failures, struggles, secrets, and processes that help them succeed in selling millions to billions of dollars of their products and services, all with the sole aim of helping you grow your business. If you are eager to know the most effective sales secrets from the A players of the game, then the CEO Sales Strategies podcast is certainly the place to be.
Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Once again, bringing you a great guest. We are going to talk about using live events. How do you use live events the right way for business to business or business to consumer or business to entrepreneur? And I'm fortunate enough to have a long-standing relationship with Basia Piasek. Basia is from Poland. She has a company in Poland, London. She's done business all over the world. And she has built her business not solely or exclusively through live or virtual events, but using events as a major tool. And it's really important to listen to this. And the reason why is events are huge leverage when you do them the right way. They're massive rapport building events when you do them the right way. Now, there's a right way to do them. There's the not so right way. So we're going to talk about how do you do this? And we're going to talk about why you wouldn't do this. And more importantly, when you're bringing people together, what's the purpose of doing that? So without further ado, let's go to the interview with Basia. Get a pen, get a pencil, get some paper or digital or whatever you write with, take notes. Okay, let's go to the interview. Basia, welcome and thanks for being on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. I'm really happy you're here.
I'm really happy to welcome everyone.
So I want to talk with you about the thing that I noticed, so folks, lean in here. I've watched this woman fill a event room with 1,400 people in like a week. It was pretty cool, actually. So I remember, you invited me over to come speak at one of your events, and I was like, how many people are going to be there? And then you told me when the event was, I'll be like, I'll be there. And you're like, wham, we're getting the people in now. So it was amazing how quickly and the quality of people that were at the event. Now, so firstly, why do people, let's say B2B, right? Because, B2 training or B2E, it's a lot easier to understand why, but why do people in B2B, I mean, you're a B2B company a lot of times, in your pursuits. So why do they want to use events? What's great about events?
Yeah, so there are many reasons, and thank you for mentioning this. What happened like many years ago, but since then I've been using events for all my companies I've built, right? Because in many different sectors, I'm always using it, and it's mainly B2B. And why? First of all, in the list of tactics of acquiring customers, people, and so on, I believe, and I can say it out of the experience, events are the best because first of all, people can really quickly connect and they can get to know so many people at once instead of wasting a lot of time, like having one-on-one meetings somewhere in the city and so on. And nowadays, I believe everyone values time very much. So when they are after getting to know people or networking, they really look for in their niche, in their area, event is the best. And actually, I've been using events in both ways. So first of all, more like networking events plus some speeches and some other stuff, agenda and so on. But I've been using events when I had only content itself without very intense networking. And I still use those events for business building purposes. So I believe events are number one, the best, the most effective tactic to acquire clients and building relationships you can take then into phone calls, video calls, and all the other stuff. So it's very effective.
And what I noticed when I went to the first event that you put on, the quality of the people there, the people I got to meet, number one, But also a lot of business relationships come out of those events together because people get to bond with one another. And I saw that happening not only just for your company, but it actually started happening for my company. And I believe that's kind of a normal if people come with the open understanding of, hey, I'm going to meet some people and, possibly do business together. Is that kind of like a theme that people in events should actually plan for?
Yes, because what I found is, because I had the event you came to Poland, it was like in tech business, right? Then I created an event for people, for influencers, from YouTubers, bloggers, Instagrammers, and all the other people. Then I started creating events for my personal brand, and every time, even though they were not purely networking, even though the first one, Wolves, was all about networking plus some other things. So we focus on having like the 15-minute speed date so that people can really have a quality meetings with people they wanted to meet, and for something they were looking after. Even when we didn't have purely networking events, the networking effect and common theme, bringing people together, and those breaks you have in between, were a huge value when we were facilitating networking and helping people network, because when they can find, people struggling with the same things, having the same issues, talk to such people, those relationships are usually very valuable for business owners and or people working in businesses looking forward to find some quality customers. So basically networking, I find, even if it's not organized, because many times it's not organized, it's supposed to be facilitated somehow by the organizers, on top of anything else they have planned for the event. Because first of all, they can have much better quality people there when you are, putting a little bit more focus on this, and you are really helping people not to have random connections, because random connections are good too, right? Because we had these additional dinners, VIP dinners and so on, when people could have some random conversations, but within selected group of people, because the event you mentioned for almost like 1,500, you always say that in the United States, so 1,500 people. So there were like around 300 investors, 500, people who were representing corporate world and so on, and they wanted to connect within each other. So organizing additional meetings for smaller groups of people you have within the bigger event is very good idea, because people can pay pretty big money for that. Actually, this is the way we've met. This is the way we've met, like many years ago, when we were at the same event, and I came from Poland to the United States. I flew, so many hours and so on. And I didn't know there was additional event for only smaller group of people who attended this event. And when I registered the day before, they told me there's something like that. I'm like, I just want to get in. And they told me it's, I have to pay additionally. I'm like, whatever it takes, I want to be there, because I want to meet people who are selected out of a group of people that are at this event, because it's a value, it's a huge value. And taking into account the time, and that we can meet all those people we are looking for, or people with similar issues, problems we want to solve and so on in one room, is a huge value. This is the way I think of it. And for B2B, customer acquisition too.
I agree with you 100%, because if we can get into a room with people who are having the same experiences, challenges, problems, frustrations, and opportunities, magical things seem to happen when we get into that group. And then if there's outside that group that people also can help us with those issues, then what I found is that also helps. Like when I was going to your first event there, and by the way, folks, that was in Poland. So I got on a plane from the United States to Poland. The thing that really surprised me is there were a lot of people from the US and other parts of the world that actually came there. I thought it might be like, Poland, Germany, and, surrounding countries, but it wasn't. It was people from all over the world. Many of them actually were from the United States. And it was strange because that was the first time I was ever in Poland, but it was really more strange for me to understand, like, wow, there are actually people who come from the United States, Canada, Mexico, wherever, and they fly over here to Poland. So, but what was really helpful for me is, at the time I was looking at software opportunities, as you're aware of, and I met the founder of Pipedrive at your event.
Yes.
Mr. Hank, and we shared a cab ride, and we got to get to know one another. And here's the thing I want people to take away. For me to actually get to somebody like that at that time, if I was doing that traditionally, it could take me months to actually break in to the trust circle where he might even have a sit down, conversation with me at that point. Now, he might have been a nice guy. It might have happened on the first phone call too. But traditionally, when we try to get to CEOs or founding members of high, built companies, it takes a little time because they don't know us. So we've got to actually bridge that whole trust gap. But when you meet them at an event, you, as the event planner or the person who put the event on, already gave me the credibility because you invited me and you invited him at the same time. This is so powerful. And every time I go to an event, it happens every single time I go to an event because there's a commonality that people are there for. So I learned that from you actually when, and I learned you can fill an event very quickly. I was surprised, because it was like, you told me what the numbers were when I was coming on, and you said you'll have, 14, 1,500, maybe 2,000 people in. I'm like, there's no way she's going to put that many people in an event in that short a period of time. Because, hey, I was the guy, I work with Tony Robbins, I work with Chad, all those people, right? So I'm used to filling events, but man, you put them in like, whoop, and they were in there, and they were super quality people, the investors, everybody. So the reason I'm going on this point is people who are listening, listen to Basia, do an event, right? Do an event, because it's one of the quickest ways for you to actually build up an organization of people who have like mind and build a community. Now,
yes.
How does somebody go about, like I can imagine people are listening going, okay, you convinced me. She filled 1,400 people. I know, and I can vouch you've done multiple events after that. You've come to the events in the United States. You've given me advice. So I would suspect that somebody's going, okay, I'll try this. I'll do it. So how do they do it like out of the gate? Do they just go try to get, 2,000 people in a room, or do you recommend smaller, or, how should they start?
Yeah, it's always about, first of all, you have in mind what you want to have, right? So what's your goal? Why are you doing this, right? Do you want to acquire customers, or do you want to build a network through which you're going to get to the customers? It's always about some kind of building the business, right? And in most cases, event itself is a tool. In some cases, event can be a brand itself, right? Like two of my brands were events plus additional tools we have built out of those events. But the thing is that we always, because the other one we had for 5,000 people, we had like other brands too. And whenever we were organizing it, because with two totally separate brands, event brands, we were number one in Poland and one in Central Europe, gathering people from all over the globe. And we were always asking ourselves, what do those people really want? So giving the example of Wolf Summit, because it was the event when you visited Poland and we could see each other here. So what happened, we really digged deep into understanding of separate groups of people we invited needs. So for example, what do really investors need and what kind of hassle they have? What do corporations really need and what kind of hassle they have, right? Or startups or B2B companies, because there were like 4 different types of people we were inviting in. And for example, knowing that investors don't want to go, through the list of startups they see 4th time, 10th time, or they don't have issues with plenty of startups applying to them, willing investment, because they didn't have this issue. So inviting them and saying, hey, come to our event because you're going to meet a lot of startups, it wouldn't be a benefit. But understanding this situation, we said, okay, so what we can do for them to save their time, to find them, because their problem is we want to find quality startups, good startups, we want to be the first one, and we want to have them selected, right? So we put a lot of attention into selection process and gathering additional information about startups so that they can get to know them before coming to the event. And this way we could pull the biggest, the best brands, to our event, and having those brands talking about those brands to other investors, because investors wanted to, first of all, find startups, but the second need was they wanted to, because many times investors are investing together, so they wanted to get to know other investors. So, using this as a tool to gather other investors, it helped us to get a really nice community, really nice, group of investors that came to Poland. And it's the same because right now you can think of Basia, I don't have, tax event business or whatever. How can I apply it to my business? It's actually the same thing. So ask yourself, what do your people, your potential customers or your community, what do they really want? Because you can sell them for maybe digital products, maybe you want to sell some services, maybe you want to sell some tax services, I don't know. But it's always about what do they really want. And you can put your content into the context of problems they have, kind of, because it's always about that. So for example, when we were gathering influencers, it wasn't B2B, it was more, we had companies, and it was more B2C, knowing that we want to have sponsors that want to get to influencers. We knew there was a different benefits for biggest influencers who helped us drag another, pull another influencers who helped us sell sponsorships, big sponsorships to brands that want to be there to create huge mass communication through influencers channels, right? So it's always about that. And we are never thinking only about what we want, but we are always thinking about how do we give them what they want and get what we want in the same time. It's always about that, right? And that's one thing. And the second thing is, when you want to, achieve whatever goal your goal is, for example, acquiring customers, it's all about, okay, so let's say you want your customers would be, I'm going to give you the example within one of the other companies we have right now, because right now we have services, tech companies, we invest in real estate, we have right now a lot of businesses. And for example, I'm going to give you the two examples. One example is the in real estates. So we buy big buildings, old buildings with plenty of apartments in it. We just change it and we sell it. So we not only have to, send us our communication to the final customer, but our other customer are investors, because we are co-investing, and we have investors who are investing millions or hundreds of thousands of, US dollars within the investment we are buying. So, and what we are doing, of course, we are organizing events. Of course, for us, not organizing event would be stupid, because it's the best way to build relationship. And especially when you have premium products, building relationships is key for them to trust you to give you the money, right? And of course, you will have some investors, giving you the money only through the video conversation or through some other recommendations because they know someone who knows you and so on. But as you said earlier, it's much longer. It takes much more time. So what we did before Christmas, and last year we've bought 20,000 square meters of apartments. It was like speeding up very quickly with the whole business who has that is like 1.5 years old. So what we did an event, and we invited all the investors who already invested, but we invited their friends. And we did it as so we positioned the whole event as the closed event, the invitation only, with the confirmation, RSVP and so on, for a very selected group of people, because this is the way it was. It was very small, like almost like 100 people. It was small for us, right? But for those people, it was enough to have a quality networking, feeling, cozy. But after this event, we had another row of investments, because we could speak, first of all, to our customers and new potential customers and build better connections and better trust. So it's not only for new customers, but the old ones too, like the best tool. And second of all, through this, we could get to another people who could get to know us. And even though the most of the event was networking, we had like 1.5 hours of speeches of the owners of the brand about the investment, about the plans, the vision, and so on and so forth. And this help us move massively forward with the brand, right? The same thing, totally different brand we have. We have shares in the company that is selling hardware and software to bakeries, right? And it's a pretty expensive investment, but the bakery will be, they will operate much more efficient. So the revenue, not the revenue, but the income is going to be better and so on. So what we did, again, the market, bakery owners, right? So to see the tool, this whole device, the hardware and so on, it will be such a hassle, to go every time to all the bakeries, show them, because they have to see it, they have to experience it. So again, with the physical product, right? They have to experience it and so on. We organized an event for bakery owners. It was with additional gala, knowing what our customers, how our customer is. We knew there's gonna have to be like the whole weekend, not only Saturday, but Sunday, with some party in the evening, like with, drinking and so on, because those people are like this. So you have to give them what they want, they want to talk to each other and so on. We had really nice quality product exposure and, how it can influence their business and so on. But there was a lot of networking, a lot of fun, because those people are all about fun, at least in our country, right? And this one event brought us couple million turnover. There were like orders after orders after orders, after this event. But our first thing was, what do they want? What do they need? And how we can give them through the event, right? So those are like two totally different examples of, how you have to think to organize really quality event and bring people very quickly there. And then, make it beneficial for them, but beneficial for you too. I hope it answers the question.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. I've known you for so long. I forgot to ask this question prior to. How do people find out more about this, or you, or anything else?
Yeah, so right now, I am on social media, so they can find me on my social media. I'm mainly with my name and surname, Barbara Piasek or Basia Piasek. I'm on YouTube, podcast, and Instagram and Facebook. But we own as well the biggest events company in Poland. Actually, it's a tech platform for selling events, so not only ours, but all the other people. And what we did, we created a software tool that helps people to sell through events, not only like physical events, but as well online events, because online events are the second biggest tool to sell. You cannot have this quality networking, but you can still, actually, you taught me a lot about that. So I'm very thankful for this, because, you are like the guy, to go to understand how to sell better. And I have to, thank you so much for being a pupil, as you say that, right, in English, for 3 years with you. And I didn't want to finish it, because I still felt like I'm getting so much from you, and you're like, everything already, you just do your thing. So but I felt that those 3 years were amazing. And actually Doug was the one who inspired me with online events too, because you experienced so much. And I'm not only using offline, but online too. So, this offline. So what we did, we bought a platform, 10 years old platform with 2 million of clients. We added all the online tools, to sell through online events too. And, combine it with networking too. It's of course different than physical, but, you can use it, especially coronavirus times and so on. It helped, a lot of people to use this channel. So our brand is called Evenia. I know in English it's
Evenia. Your English is more than good. Trust me. We'll put all this in the show notes for you as well. But I've actually used the program, so it works really, really great. So yeah, evenia.com. Yeah.
Yes, and .pl. We have both. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we'll put that for sure in the show notes. Okay, I have one last question. Because by the way, for those of you who don't know, Basia's become family, and I've become family on her side. She just had a new baby, so congratulations to you and Peter and baby Rose. And the pictures you send me are amazing. I really appreciate it. And so I do have one last question though. Live or virtual? Because a lot of people are like, well, if I do a live event, and what happens if it blows up again, or whatever, coronavirus version 28 comes out, or whatever, and so live or virtual, or combination of both, what makes sense?
I would say combination of both, but I will definitely say that live events will always have bigger impact on your business, always, because I would say have like virtual events in between. but use virtual events not only to sell, but to drive traffic to your physical events, right? So offline events, because offline is, as you always have to, compare it to regular relationships. Can you really, really build a close friendship with someone without seeing him like never? Yeah. No, right? It's just so it's the same with the live events, right? Of course, you're not gonna build like lifelong, the closest, the best out of all of them relationship during one event. But like, you are my second dad, I always say that, right? Because we got so close and we got such a good friends, like family, because you are family to me. And it all started at one event in the United States many years ago, right? And we've done so many topics together since that time. So this is how live events can really impact your business. It's huge. It's massive. Plus, like, from logical point of view, and if you think about, numbers and conversions, just to give you the comparison, in my opinion and in my experience, live events can have couple times bigger conversion rate than online events doing the same stuff, on it.
It makes total sense. And I want to let people know this, because you said something really important. We did meet at a live event. But I was also an attendee at the event when we met. And then I think I got up, the person who was running the event asked for certain people to stand up and ask questions or something. And I asked some questions, I gave some feedback. And I remember you coming over to me and going, we got to go to lunch.
Yes.
And so that's how it all started out. So I want people to understand that you never know where it's going to come from in the live. You can be an attendee at a live event. You can go and maybe speak a little bit at a live event. You can run the live event. Just get to live events, because the reality is that there's no better marketing ever, never has been, never will change, than direct face-to-face.
Exactly.
Right. And so, I mean, you and I have built a relationship of, we went from not knowing one another to having lunch to, eventually a client relationship to now family relationships. And, when you come to the US, it's like, hey, I'm coming to the US. When I go to the over Poland, like I am again this fall, we're going to get together and all of that. So that's the key. And, for people, because we have B2B, we have consultants, we have a lot of people listening to this. The reality is, you want to make your client really your best friend, if you can do that. And you and I have pulled that off masterfully. Because as well as I do that I'd jump a plane in a heartbeat if something was going on over in Poland and fly 6,000 miles to help, right? So if you can build relationships like that in business, you've got the gold, not just business-wise, but you've got an enhanced personal life beyond. So, Basia, I know you're busy. I know the little one was fussing before we got on the call. So I'm gonna say thank you again for being here. I really appreciate that. And you taking your time out from your busy day, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm happy, I could share my experience with you. And what I can tell you, like, guys, having like Dag in your ears, it's a blast. So if it's the first podcast or first time you see Dag, you have to see everything and watch everything, whatever he has, because if not that, I wouldn't have so many companies and so much turnover, and revenue and income through my whole last 8 years. So I'm very grateful. And I always say to everyone, Dag is the most important person who influenced my business life. So that's from me.
Oh, now you're going to make me cry.
That's true.
Make me cry. I'm starting to tear up. So thank you. And you've been a very big influence in my life as well. Helping me through not only business things, but personal life issues and things like that. So I'm very grateful to have you.
I know I'm crying.
All right, but before we both cry on camera, we'll until next time. All right, everybody, that was cool, right? So events are a really fun way and a great way of building massive rapport and getting people to understand who you are, help position you as the expert, maybe not even in your own industry, but an expert, and actually bringing the experience of what you brought in the event to that person. Now, that will position you higher up the trust ladder than a lot of other things that you could possibly do. Now, it might also, depending on how you do the event, bring you up as an expert in your subject matter. And so you could do that as well, or you could do both of those. Imagine being positioned as you're the expert subject matter, as well as, the heightened trust factor just from doing the event itself, bringing people together and having them be able to extend what they're looking for their goals and do that successfully. That is the power of events. Now, whether you do them live, whether you do them virtual, I agree with Basia that live events are much better than personal events. Of course, they take a little bit more coordinating, and obviously people have to come to those particular events. But when you're doing those, people, they get to go to lunch together. They get to have dinner together. They get to sit down and have meetings together. There's just a different, I don't want to say vibe, but it is a vibe, but there's a different process, which that process then leads to building better relationships. Now, you can do this virtually as well. It's just not the same as live. So I recommend, as she did, you do both live and virtual events. All right. And I think one of the most important takeouts that I took out of this was when you're going to be inviting people, what do they want to get out of this? In other words, start with their end in mind, and that will tell you the groups of people that you can bring to these events. When you bring those people to the events, whether it's a smaller event or a larger event, then they're getting what they want. And guess who they're going to want to thank? You. And that's how you actually can do business doing the live events. All right. So this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. As always, if you love this episode, share it with somebody else. Ask people to subscribe. Please subscribe yourself if you like this, because more subscribers, the better rankings, the better positioning, the more people hear this, the more people we help. And if you have a subject matter that you would like to hear, just send Doug at ceosalesstrategies.com an email and say, I want to get a guest, and hear this on your podcast, right? In other words, Doug, go get the guest, because we'll go out and source them. And if you would like to even be a guest on the CEO Sales Strategies podcast and you think that that's for you, then reach out again, Doug at ceosalesstrategies.com or Doug Brown 1234 at LinkedIn. Well, not at LinkedIn, at LinkedIn, I should say LinkedIn. That is my address for LinkedIn. Anyways, have a wonderful day. If you feel that my expertise is something that will help you build your business and you want to reach out and talk about that, please do so. And go sell something, sell a lot of it, make a lot of money, sell it profitably into your success. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. Make it a great day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the CEO Sales Strategies Podcast. What is something that you learned that you could act on today? Don't forget to schedule it now, or it may never get forward momentum. If you find our content valuable, please leave a favorable review and let us know what you liked. Please also share this with others if the content will help them. For our show notes, other episodes, and more interesting content and resources, please visit ceosalesstrategiespodcast.com. See you soon, and to your continued success,